Grain and livestock futures closed mixed Friday. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Corryn with this closing market wrap-up. Grain and oilseed futures closed mixed Friday, finding support from higher crude oil and continued technical momentum as corn and wheat posted follow-through buying after their bullish outside days earlier in the week. Crude oil moved higher on the session and finished roughly $5 above Monday's early week lows as investors continued to monitor escalating tensions in the Middle East. President Donald Trump said earlier this week he's pausing strikes on Iran's energy sector for 10 more days through April 6 to allow more time for negotiations. At the same time, the Pentagon is considering deploying an additional 10,000 ground troops to expand military options. There are few signs of de-escalation as Iran turned away to two China-owned container vessels. From the Strait of Hormuz, Israel launched a broad attack on Iranian weapons facilities, and multiple Gulf states issued alerts over incoming fire. Kuwait also reported that two of its ports were struck. On the policy front, Trump said Thursday that he would announce actions to support U.S. agriculture at a White House event Friday attended by farmers, ranchers, and industry leaders. The announcement is expected to include finalized renewable fuel standard volumes for 2026 and 2027, with projections pointing to steady corn-based ethanol demand and a sizable increase in renewable diesel requirements. Ahead of Tuesday's prospective plantings report, uncertainty remains around soybean acreage. While not as wide-ranging as estimates for corn, traders continue to weigh the possibility that soybean acres have increased since the onset of the Iran conflict, driven in part by rising input costs, especially fertilizer. Weather remains a concern across the plains. Temperatures reached into the upper 90s and low 100s across the southwestern hard red winter belt, with only brief cooling in the central plains before hotter conditions return this weekend. World Weather Incorporated forecasts another stretch of heat from Sunday through Tuesday, while western high plains remain largely dry with little meaningful precipitation expected. Over in livestock, plains cash cattle markets are showing a softer tone this week with limited trade volume. Texas saw very light trade Thursday at $234, with Kansas lightly traded at $232, both down from $235 last week. Nebraska business was slightly more active, but still light, with live cattle at $235, steady with last week, and dressed trade at $371.50, just below the previous week's $372. Taking a look at closing numbers, May corn down 5 at $4.62. May soybeans down 14.5 at $11.59 May wheat unchanged at $6.05. May Kansas City wheat up 6 at $6.32 May Minneapolis wheat up 3.25 cents at $6.48. Moving over to the livestock complex, we've got April live cattle up $3.40 at $238.50. April feeder cattle up $6.37 at $361.45, and April hogs down a nickel at $90.77. Thanks for joining me for this closing market wrap-up. I'm Corryn with the American Ag Network.